Welcome to Larkhall, Glasgow. Round 2 of the Senior RAC MSA British Kart Championship coming up. This is the West of Scotland Kart Club, one of the most popular and challenging tracks on the circuit. But the weather, on the other hand, won't be so popular. It's none too warm and the storm clouds gather. But it won't dampen the enthusiasm. As always, a huge entry for these events, as karting continues to be the hot property of motorsport. We'll be featuring the Slick 50 Formula TKM National Championship, plus the Hillhouse Hammond RAC MSA Formula A British Championship. This is how it stands so far. Formula A first. Bobby Game, reigning champion, leading the way on 60 points. Formula TKM overall, Terry Langley on 116 from Jay Howard on 115, Damien Tickle on 114. Makes it a really close contest there. But it was always going to be a difficult day here. Rain and then sunshine, dry track, wet track meant that on the time practices, some got it good and some didn't have it quite so good. Local man Graham Melville, number 18 in Formula A, was off to a cracking start, and he had no illusions about which type of track he liked.
Wet. Definitely wet.
Have you organised that?
Oh, I've done a rain dance. It worked.
Where do you think the opposition's going to come from today, seriously?
If it stays wet, probably Jenkinson, Battistini. And if it dries up, I think Bobby Game will get through in the drives quick. Jones is quick in the dry. I think it'll be close.
Because Bobby Games, I think, is around 6 on the grid at the moment. Do you think he can recover from that?
If it's dry, I would think so, yeah.
Formula TKM, like Formula A, produces many young hopefuls. And running with the boys this year is a young lady with ambition. Last time out wasn't so good for you.
No.
This time you've got a little bit of ground to make up. How's the practice looking so far?
Friday was excellent. Friday was good. I don't think anybody's going to catch Jay Howard anyway, so I think just leave him and let him to get on with him. Saturday wasn't too good. It wasn't as good as Friday, but hopefully we're going down the right avenues now and we'll be on the right track today.
Where do you need to finish to keep yourself into contention in the championship?
Well, I did badly at Shannington. You're only allowed to drop one round, so I can't do badly in any more rounds. So top 5, hopefully, fingers crossed.
And that's not going to be a problem?
Well, it depends how it goes. I'll let you know after the first 2.
Okay, finally, let's talk a little bit about that first run at Shannington. I know you probably don't want to. What actually happened when the wheel went?
Yeah, I was just coming down the inside of somebody, and I'm not too sure whether they saw me, but I needed to get through to get out of the B final because otherwise I would have had worse points. But he just chopped over and went over my front wheel, and it ended up wobbling and falling off, and that was me out of the race, unfortunately.
Whose fault was that?
I'm bound to say it's his fault, but it was 50-50, I reckon.
50-50. So you're going to keep out of trouble this time?
Oh, fingers crossed.
But it wasn't to be. Gentlemanly conduct doesn't apply when the chips are down. Bumped and hassled from the start, Catherine Legg's day finally ended in tears. It's been a tough time today, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I don't know, I think I might as well give up now.
No, not at all. There's an incident a little early on in that race when you got nudged off a bit. What was that all about?
I got taken out because my engine was playing up. It was the car, but it just held back, and I don't blame the person for hitting me up the bum because he wasn't to know. It was just like braking, and I don't know what's up with it. It was holding back all the way around. So that's me in the B final.
So that's a tough time at the now you've moved up, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Nothing seems to be going right at the moment. We're trying our best, but
that's the way it goes. But the resolve is still there. There's still plenty of season left, eh?
Yeah, I guess.
So no place in Final A then for Catherine Legg. This was the top 6 grid with rising star Jay Howard, number 76, leading the way. Well, he was leading the way in practice, he was leading the way in the heats, and he was leading the way in the final. With 2 of the 18 laps completed, the lead was more than 50 metres. This is a course both they and Formula A will contest. Good overtaking opportunities on the bottom straight and the run downhill to the corner before the finish line. Concentration and a tight line is the key. And it's the concentration you need here in the pack. They all chase 76. Leader Jay Howard. 61 is Hunter Abbott in second place. 1 is Philip Charles, the reigning champion. In second, James Gleave. Number 5 was third. 12, Colin Davis is fourth. And Terry Langley fifth. But still, Jay Howard, 76, extends his lead. Looking very, very comfortable indeed with his off-the-shelf Venom. 3 lengths ahead he was at the end of the first lap. But he's pulling away now to an enormous lead. The race reaches the halfway stage. We'll take a check on that. Almost 50 metres. And look at the style here on the rerun. Just clipping the curbs there. An economy of drive. Wide, pulling tight. And that's a style which will take this man surely a very long way in motor racing circuits. But the battle's on for second certainly. That's Philip Charles now up on Hunter Abbott. And in fact, by the halfway stage, head down, foot down, Philip Charles had got that coveted second spot and was pulling away from the rest. Terry Langley was also improving his chances, albeit with the help of the curb. The great bit about TKM racing is that engines are all standard. The expertise lies in the setting up of the kart and the expertise of the young drivers themselves. It's always a close contest, and points at the end of the season are always at a premium. But with 4 laps to go in this contest, Jay Howard was well out on his own. His lead was even greater, but things were happening behind. Philip Charles held on to second, and Hunter Abbott, number 61, had dropped back to fifth, behind James Gleave third and Terry Langley fourth. A rerun here of something they call the train, lining up behind one another. Slipstreaming is another word for it, waiting the opportunity for a lapse of concentration and the driver in front to nip through. But there's no train behind Jay Howard. With 2 laps to go, he was able to ease it up just a little bit. No chance of the rest catching him at all. The issue really was now, who was going to take the silver? Well, Philip Charles was the likely candidate, but there was a furious battle behind him. It was gradually pushing third and fourth closer. Hardly a glance now over the shoulder by Jay Howard. He knows exactly where he is. He knows exactly where he's going. Around the final bend, and the checkered flag will take him to the top of the file. Philip Charles held on to second, and a furious battle for third. It ended up with number 5 James Gleave just ahead of Terry Langley. There was only a couple of inches in that one. Taking another look at that, and he looks across the number 5, knowing he just held on. So that's how it is now overall. Jay Howard 238, 20 points ahead of Terry Howard. So the young man for whom a bright future surely must beckon. Generally accepted now throughout karting circles as one of the very, very bright prospects of the future. It's the Hill House Hammond Formula A Final 2 in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's take a look back at Final 1 in atrocious conditions. And things not looking too good for number 1. Halfway down the pack, you saw him there. Number 1, there he is, Bobby Game, winner of the first round, leader overall in the championship. But due to those conditions earlier on, now has a mountain to climb. In 16th position, he has to try and get himself back up that pack. But there's a unique way of scoring in karting. After the time practice, you start in that grid position, then through the heats and through the finals. Where you finish in those heats and finals is where you start on the next grid. Well, Graham Melville was proving once again that not only does he like the track, but he revels in the conditions. Dominated the track all day in Formula A. No one has got anywhere remotely near him, and he went on to win that final. Good result too for Paul Ozan, 62, and for Bobby Game in 6.
Definitely could have been worse. No, I mean, we got safely around the first corner and just picked them off one by one.
Where did your day go from here?
Hopefully further forward, but no, a bit of work to do with the car.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's right for the final.
What's the best you can finish at, you reckon, today?
Who knows? Who knows? If we can go a bit quicker, we'll possibly win. Depends. I mean, people got away at the start of that race, and we had the long way to come. But hopefully, starting 6, I think. So it's hopefully they won't pull away too far.
Still possibilities then?
Yes, definitely.
And this is the grid. Game in 6th position. Ozan was 5th. Gavin McFadden was 4th. Panrucker was 3rd. Jenkinson was 2nd. And Graham Melville led them all. And this is it, the 1997 Hillhouse Hammond RAC MSA Formula A British Championship Round 2 is go! And it's Melville from Jenkinson, Panrucker, number 10 in 3rd. Down the hill towards the right-hander, and it's Melville over the shoulder, being pressed now by Jenkinson and Panrucker. There's no rest when you're in the front in this sort of company. Into the S's. Then it'll be round the next right-hander, down through the second set of S's and into the finish line. Oh, no impression made yet by Bobby Game. Still plenty to do for him in this race. And still plenty of traffic back in the pack. Around 80 miles an hour now. Melville and Jenkinson having a look there. Panrucker moves up. Game still in there. And really, Melville having to hold on very, very tightly indeed to his lead. It's a precious one, but always under threat. You can't see what's going on behind. And in a flash, one slip, a little bit wide, and you find you're dumped back into second position. Melville then. Still from Jenkinson, Panrucker 3rd. Number 5 is Gavin McFadden. A good day he's having too. Still no light though for Bobby Game. The hand there onto the carburettor. Just riches up the engine a little bit, keeping it cool. That's what you need in this game. You need a cool engine, and you also need a cool head. And once again, it's Jenkinson looking at Melville. He will attack soon. He's being pressed even harder now by Panrucker there, number 10. Getting away a little bit from Bobby Game. He's moved up to 4th. So as the pace picks up here on lap 4. So they begin to pull away a little bit. Oh, and Jenkinson had a look there. Now he may well have gone through on Melville. In fact, yes, he has. So, Jenkinson, number 20, leads from Graham Melville, number 18. Well, you have to say it was no more than we expected. But of course, now the pressure goes on to the number 20, Robert Jenkinson. Looking back how tight it is at the front. And this is where 2 laps ago, Robert Jenkinson started to line up Graham Melville. Bobby Game there. Richardson's his engine up a little bit, keeping it cool. Does it again. Same time, every lap. And if anything, getting a little bit closer to the top 3 now. Well, he needs to. He's going to continue to lead this championship at the end of the day. Melville then, still chasing. Number 20, Robert Jenkinson. Panrucker looks round. He sees Game is catching him up. Meanwhile, we can take a look at how, after softening Melville up, Jenkinson finally did him on lap 4. Back live, and Melville has repaid the compliment straight away. Next lap, Jenkinson tries to nip back on the outside, but that was too far around. And Graham Melville goes back into the lead in the second round of this championship. Absolutely stunning stuff. Melville leads, and Panrucker goes through on Jenkinson. Game can only watch. Well, let's take another look at that. Well, Melville's clearly away, and Jenkinson just a fraction wide, and number 10, Dean Panrucker, quick to spot the opportunity. So, Graham Melville back in front, Robert Jenkinson right behind, head down, Dean Panrucker in third position. And this was how the lead changed for the third time in this race. Graham Melville slipping past Robert Jenkinson. Jenkinson almost getting the lead back there, didn't quite have the power. Well, it's awful crowded in there, and in fact Bobby Game slipping in past 97. I don't quite know what that was about. Something was said somewhere. Let's take another look. Melville coolly into that, lifting the back wheel. 97 is David Eaton. Well, he clearly upset Bobby Game there somewhere along the line. But Game taking the advantage in the end. And, well, more conflict there. A lot of chat going on in this race. Points at a premium. Number 12 is James Wright taking the shortcut. And Ozanne clatters into Bobby Game. Well, it's all getting a bit heated out there. Game on 97, David Eaton again, pushes him off the track. Well, take a look at that sequence again. Paul Ozanne definitely colliding with number 1 Bobby Game there. Graham Melville goes through, followed by Jenkinson. 97 is David Eaton again in conflict with Bobby Game here, and Bobby Game, that little nudge, pushes him off the track and tells him why. But Graham Melville still keeping well out of trouble. He leads. You could never say it's a comfortable lead in this sort of competition, but it is around about 30 metres now, or perhaps a little bit less there, because Jenkinson under some pressure from Panrucker, and Bobby Game really still in 5th position, making no impression here. 61 is Gary Pappett, and 27 Dylan Battistini in the wars again. This is Graham Melville though, he still leads from Robert Jenkinson. Dean Panrucker is 3rd, and Paul Ozanne closing in 4th, and what a good day he's having. 17th, remember it was, in that first final, but Melville having to use all his skills and his local knowledge here on the track to stay ahead of Robert Jenkinson, pushing him all the way. Well, this is going to be a classic end to this race, all building up beautifully. Well, let's take another look at the David Eaton Bobby Game match. Oh, and there's definitely a nudge there. David Eaton sliding off the track. Back with the leaders, and it couldn't be closer. Melville under intense pressure now from Jenkinson, who in turn is getting the attack from Dean Panrucker, and Paul Ozanne head down right on the tail of all of them. And really, it's a 4-horse race now, you have to say, and any one of these could pinch the points at the end of the day. Down the straight, this is where it all happens. Look how they all check over their shoulders. Who's next? And it's Jenkinson. Jenkinson with a superb move while they were all watching each other. He slipped through. Oh, that was an absolutely stunning move. I'm sure he will have held on to that lead, were with the back markers. Yes! So Robert Jenkinson is back in front from Graham Melville, and Paul Ozanne goes into 3rd position, or does he? Yes! Panrucker goes 4th. Back on the replay, there was a lot of looking around just before this, but it was Robert Jenkinson who saw the opportunity. Graham Melville just a fraction wide, paid the price. Oh, but he's changed immediately back, and Graham Melville, while we were watching that, has retaken the lead on the next lap. Well, this is an absolutely stunning race. 20, Robert Jenkinson adjusts himself in his seat as well he might, because this race isn't over yet. And they all check on Bobby Game notes, but he's making no impression still. I can't see him winning this one after his stunning victory in the first round at Shenington, but who knows? Karting's a game where lots of things change. Here comes Robert Jenkinson once again, and Paul Ozanne goes through on Jenkinson, yes! So he goes into 2nd position. Well, Paul Ozanne from 17th now goes into 2nd. 17th, of course, that was in the first final, not this one. Melville leads from Ozan. Jenkinson over the shoulder, sees Panracker breathing down his neck. Melville pulls away again. Now let's take a look at Ozan, and really it was Jenkinson who was eyeing up Melville, who left the door open for Ozan. So in the end, all he got for his troubles was a third. And there's Gate, still in 5th position. Well, he is catching up just a little bit on that lap. In fact, catching up quite considerably. Now then, is this going to be one last launch from Bobby Game? It's certainly one last lap, because that's all there's left for them to sort it out. Into the final circumnavigation of the track, and it's still Graham Melville who leads, but Paul Ozan right up on his bumpers now. Jenkinson moves up, as does Panracker. Down the long straight for the final time. This is the bit that Robert Jenkinson likes, but there's no room for any of them there. That was a perfect line from Graham Melville. Something like 400 or 500 metres to go now. Paul Ozan takes a look on the inside there and fails. Melville just a little bit wide on the first one, tight on the second one. Ozan down the outside, might cut here, and does, and he might win this, and he has! And that's quite remarkable. And the man who came from so far back in such a short time to actually steal it from Graham Melville on the line by a few inches. Let's take one more look. And really, Graham Melville asking for trouble here, just drifted it a little bit. Paul Ozan was on hand and just makes it ahead of him.
Graham came down on the inside to defend this line, which anybody would do. I got a wide line going into it, and I got a better run on the exit of the corner. Bit of bumping on the way out, but
it happens, doesn't
it happens, and just won by about that much off him, I think, something like
How much again was it?
Only a couple of inches, I think, something like that.
Do you agree with that, Graham?
Yes, I do. It was a tremendous race. I saw him coming on the last lap, and I looked back, and I thought, God, he's here. I thought, well, I've got his last lap. I've got to drive defensive. Any driver would to win the main final, and he pulled a good move at the end. It was good.
So this is how it is now. Bobby Game still leads, but it's only 11 points from Paul Ozan. Simon Short just 3 behind him. Graham Melville moving into 4th. And a race that the crowd here will remember for a very long time. One of the closest finishes ever at Larkhall. And the man who stole it in the end, Paul Ozan.